So we're doing a Q&A today. The vlogs have been off because of the holiday weekend that we just had. So we kind of wanted to like
spice it up with a Q&A.
Yeah.
We actually didn't have any footage and thought that a quick Q&A, because we've been getting a lot of questions lately, would be a great way to clear things up a little bit. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I hopped on Twitter and I asked you guys to ask us questions if you had any. So we're gonna read just a few of them and answer a few questions for you guys. Sydney Greer, or Sid, asked, where do you plan to visit next?
We are going back up to Washington for Vlogger Fair.
Yeah, so in November, we're definitely going up to Seattle. That's probably the next place we're traveling. But internationally speaking, I don't think we have any plans, really.
Not really. I really want to go to Germany, though.
Yeah, Germany and Ireland.
Yeah,
Germany and Ireland are kind of our top two, which will hopefully be happening soon.
Hopefully, yeah.
Jeremy Grant asked, if Blake wasn't in the Air Force, what would he be doing instead?
That's a very good question, because I don't know. That's why I joined the Air Force. Actually, I might be working at this like auto dealership, which is, I think it was mostly like used cars. I put in an application to them. I think it was honestly right before I had like applied to join the Air Force. I didn't hear anything back from them. But on our way to the hotel, I think.
To drop you off from Maps.
Yeah, to drop me off. No, not even Maps.
Not even Maps. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got a call from them. Like, as I was in the car driving, is this Blake? And I was like, yep. And they're like, oh, we looked at your application for the job here, and we wanted to see if you wanted to come in for an interview. Like, well, that's cool.
Your timing's a little off, though.
Yeah, but I'm kind of joining the Air Force right now.
So you might be working there if you didn't join.
Maybe I would be working there.
Yeah. Michael asked, how has Blake being in the Air Force affected your marriage, pros and cons? Honestly, it's like if he worked any other job for the most part. If you worked a full-time job, we'd still have a very similar situation as we do right now. I guess I wouldn't be able to give any pros or cons specifically for the Air Force, because we got married while he was in the Air Force and not any other job. So it's also kind of like I have nothing to compare it to. But from what I feel like when you get out of the Air Force and you find like a normal job, I feel like it's going to be a very similar setup, a very similar situation.
I think the biggest con is that it's very hard to plan things in the future.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest con.
Like next year. Like we have that thing, the Vlogger Fair planned for November, and I would be comfortable planning stuff for Christmas, but beyond that, I really wouldn't be comfortable planning.
Yeah, especially considering I love to travel, and I've always wanted to travel, and I've always wanted to travel specifically with Blake, but then there's all of these places that it's just tough to travel because of his job. That's obnoxious. That would be a con, I would think. And yeah, the planning thing is a con, but otherwise it's just like any other job, full-time job. Yeah. It's just what it is. It's like if we worked any other jobs, that's just how it is, I guess. Lutrine asked, is Blake considering re-enlisting?
No. Next question.
All right. Where do you and Blake want to live and raise your kids in the future? Are you happy living in Vegas, or would you consider relocating?
I like Vegas. I like living here a lot. I think it's nice because everything is very close.
Yeah, and everything's open 24 hours. It's very convenient. And if you want to travel anywhere else, like if you wanted to go to LA for a weekend, or if you wanted to go to Phoenix for a weekend, or even Salt Lake City, everything is decently close, like within driving distance if you wanted it to be. So that's kind of nice.
Distance.
Right.
It's probably cheap too.
Plus, yeah, tickets to and from Las Vegas from pretty much anywhere in the country are really cheap. That being said, I probably wouldn't want to raise my kids here. Simply being the school districts here are not very good. I'd probably consider relocating. Like before we had kids, for sure, I would say. I love Washington. Like Washington is like my home. I would prefer, if given the choice, to have kids in Washington, especially just being near our families. I think would be.
I can watch them. We can go do other stuff.
I want my kids to have a close relationship with their grandparents and their aunts and uncles and everything like that. And not having that, I think, is not good for me. Like that's kind of important to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would agree.
Lutrine asked one more question. Do you have any names picked out for future babies? We have some names, possibly.
Yes.
Yes, but we won't be sharing them until that time comes. Lauren Wood asked, I think Katie said Halloween was her favorite holiday. What is yours, Blake? I just want to say I don't think Halloween is my favorite holiday. I do love Halloween. I love Halloween, but I don't think it's my favorite holiday. I would say Christmas is my favorite holiday.
I have to go with Christmas too. I
Yeah.
love Christmas.
Christmas is great.
There's something about Christmas that makes me think of when we were back home
Yeah.
during Christmas, and it was like, it was super cold out and everything, and it was
Wet.
It was wet, and it was green, and like all
Crisp.
everywhere, yeah, crisp, and everywhere smelled like pine needles because
That's Washington.
there's trees there that
Yeah.
do that, and you just go to like these little farms wherever you want, pretty much, and chop down a tree for a Christmas tree.
I can't wait to have that tradition again. 'Cause
Yeah.
You can't really do that here because
Yeah.
there's not really pine trees. What if we did that with a palm tree though? That would be
That'd be
funny.
kind of a cool Christmas.
That would be
palm
kind of a
tree.
cool experience. They're
Yeah.
kind of large though. Nikki asked, how is Blake liking his job and being in the Air Force?
My job is okay, I guess. It's, I don't know, not for everybody, I guess, especially maintenance. Maintenance is
Maintenance can be rough.
you either like it or you pretend to like it or you hate it, pretty much. Being in the Air Force is okay. It's just not for me, I guess. I like being in the military. I just don't feel like I'm meant to stay in the military.
Katie C, nice name, asked, how do you manage to stay on budget? How do you manage your finances? I think
Spend until you can't spend anymore.
I was gonna say, I think just the biggest piece of it is just not spending, like living within your means. We don't live outside of our means at all.
Yeah, knowing what you can, just because you can afford it doesn't mean you can afford it.
No, just because you can buy it doesn't mean you can afford it.
No, just because you can afford it doesn't mean you can actually afford it.
We've tried to do the actual budgeting thing. Like we've tried different like apps. We haven't done like gone as hardcore as like pull out Excel or anything like that. But we haven't found that we really needed to. Like we have a savings, we have money in the bank, we have several different accounts, and just I think keeping things diversified is helpful.
And it also helps to have dual income.
Yeah, dual income is really helpful. Like if we were just on your income, I think we would be a lot stricter on our budget. Having the dual income gives you a little bit more of a leeway, which is helpful. So we don't really have an issue staying within budget. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Elizabeth asked, what's the one thing you miss most about being home, Washington?
The atmosphere, I guess, of all the green, all the water, it rains. There's like seasons there, I feel like. Relative. It can't really here.
It's like the opposite season.
Yeah.
Like Washington doesn't really have seasons either, but it's a very consistent mild grayness, whereas it's the opposite in Las Vegas. It's always like a consistent sunniness.
Yeah.
Does that make
It
sense?
may be cold, but it's sunny all the time. Which
Yeah.
I like the sun. It's
The
not
sun
that I
is
don't.
nice.
It's just sometimes I like having those days where it's just like gray. And I feel like only people who grew up in those areas,
Understand.
yeah, or feel the same way of liking that kind of like the rain.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the atmosphere. I love the habit of curling up with a blanket on the couch and drinking some tea and reading a book or like watching a movie or something like that. And it's very easy to do that in a place like Washington where it's a very mild coolness and it's very gray outside all the time because that's just like, that's what you do.
Yeah, for some reason it just makes you feel like you want to like,
curl up. Yeah, exactly. And in Vegas, it's a lot harder to do that because it's so warm all the time. Like I love tea and I love drinking tea, but here sometimes it's just too hot. Like tea doesn't sound good. Tim Munson asked for the Q&A, when will we see little Culps? Not until you're out of the Air Force,
at
for
least,
sure.
Yeah.
And
On purpose, at least.
yeah, and probably I would say not within.
At least a year or two, probably. After.
Yeah, there's just things that I want to do
Yeah.
before having kids.
Yeah.
Like, I want to travel more before I have kids, and I want you to have, we need to have a stable income before we have kids. And ideally, in an ideal situation, I would like to own a home. Like,
Not own a home, but like.
No, but like be paying a mortgage and not a rent.
Be in a house that we want to stay in.
Yeah, all of those things are kind of things that I want to do before we have kids. It's not a requirement, but it's kind of hard to put a timeline on that.
Can only plan so much for it.
Yeah.
And be like, well, if this happens, then this is our plan for it. And
Yeah.
if it goes this way, then this is our plan.
Right. So, who knows? Who knows? We will see. Maggie Grace asked, how did you and Blake know you were ready to be married?
I was in BMT, and I realized how much I liked being with you and how much I loved you. And I wrote you that letter, and I was like, hey, I like being with you. We should get married.
I think it was a little bit more romantic
Yeah, it
than
was a
that.
little bit, yeah. That's not exactly what it said. There was something about you that I really liked, and I like wanted to be with you, and I realized how much I liked being with you when I was away from you for so long. and I hated it.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was for me too. Because that was like the first time that we had really been separated. Because we were in this really weird situation where we started dating, and then I moved into your basement with you. Like literally right after we started dating, like a month or two after we started dating.
Yeah, like you moved some of your stuff over. Oh no. You started spending the weekend.
Yeah.
Weekend nights at the beach house. And then we moved.
Yeah.
And you helped me move in there. And you like pretty much organized all of my stuff.
Yeah. It was kind of gradual. It was like I would start moving my jacket in, and then it would be like, oh, I need another pair of pants.
Yeah,
and I'd bring pants, and then I'd bring shoes, and then I'd bring like a hairbrush and stuff. And yeah, and before I know it, like we're together and like basically moved in. And I stopped basically going home to my house.
Yeah.
And I just started staying with you.
Yeah. I don't know, it just worked out really well and everybody was cool with it.
Right.
So
it was super chill, and we were like that. Like we stayed like moved in for like almost a year.
Like until I left.
Until he left for basic, we were basically moved in, and like that was just every day. But the point is, when he went to basic, it was like the first time we had been apart.
I think it also helped or solidified the fact that, at least for me, that I wanted to be with you.
Yeah. Because
we had lived together for so long that you never know somebody until you actually live with them for a while. For me, it didn't feel like a gamble.
No, it was it was just like the next obvious step. It was just like, okay, well, obviously we're supposed to be together. And it was a very logical thing, I think, for me too, because it was like, I love this person more than anything else in the entire world, and I don't want to spend a day apart without them if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Kyler asked, favorite Pop-Tart? I like strawberry.
I'd have to say the cinnamon sugar one.
I don't like
the brown
that one.
Cinnamon sugar. I know.
I think that's so boring. Yeah.
But I think heated up, the s'mores one is very good.
P. Sherman asked, hi, I love your vlogs. I'm limping through our first deployment and it just started. Any tips? Every deployment I think is different. And every deployment kind of goes through its different phases, kind of. It's rough at first. The biggest piece of it, I think, is just staying busy. So like when Blake deploys, when Blake deploys, I'm like, all right, where are we traveling to next?
Yep.
Like I want to try to travel places, and I want to throw myself into something. Like this last deployment, I was working out every single day. I was working out so much because that was the thing that I was throwing myself into to make time pass by quicker. Finding something to make the time go by faster and setting goals, I think, for yourself is really important as well, because it keeps you going. That's pretty much all the questions. That was easy. Not so bad, huh? So
come watch my stream now.
Yeah, so if you guys want to get in on the next Q&A, make sure you follow us on Twitter, because that's usually where I'm like, hey, we're shooting a Q&A today. The link is in the description bar below. And Blake is getting ready to go stream.
Excuse me, yeah.
If you haven't already, make sure that you go follow his Twitch stream, because it's so much fun. Like, I don't even really am into the big gaming place. Like, I'm not a huge gamer, but I have fun. And it's just fun to like chill with people. So
I just enjoy talking to all the people.
Yeah, like, talking is so fun.
Well, I streamed for like just over 2 hours last night, and I was playing WoW, and
you barely did anything.
I barely got anything done.
Yeah.
But I had so much fun.
Yeah,
I was talking to everybody.
It's so much fun. So definitely do so if you haven't already. And I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.